Welcome to Barcelona City FM. It's 5 o'clock and it's Thursday, and you know what it is. It's time for some Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron. I'm going to be your host. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be your friend for 2 hours now on the radio. Hope you're doing well in the car, on your way home from work. Maybe you're a lonely housewife just doing the dishes, hoping for that shiny knight in armor just to show up. I don't know. Or a house husband. Anyway, we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna groove with you for a while now. Coming up, I have a special guest today. You know, life just happens, so you gotta roll with the punches. But until then, I'm gonna groove with you a little bit. I'm gonna give you some tunes, and this is Give It To Ya with Pete Rock. Yeah, what do we say about that? What did we say about that? Welcome back to Barcelona City FM, people. You are listening to Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron. You're going to be here for 2 hours with me. And I said earlier, coming up next is a little special thing. And indeed it is. Because I got a special guest with me today. And life just happens. It's just so that I'm a super freak when it comes to couch surfing. And for all of you out there that doesn't know what that is, it's just you pretty much invite pure strangers into your house. They get to be a part of your day. They get to hang out. They get to jam. They just get to come and bring their magic. And as of late, my life kind of went on a pure 180, which led me back into the couch surfing sphere, and so to say, in all its glory, which in itself led to my beautiful and very talented guest, Allison Currier.
Hey!
AKA Big Al.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Big Al.
You talking to the mic?
Big Al and the Big Apple. What's good? I'm here.
You're here. How are you?
Oh my God. How am I? It's really hard to explain how I am when I'm like riding on the subway to get here, and I'm like, my heart is racing, and I'm like, really all I want to do is like tell everybody on the train that I'm about to be on FM radio. Like, I'm not talking AM, XM. I'm on Instagram Live, but like, this is FM radio. So thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
You're
I'm
welcome.
very happy.
I'm very happy to have you. And how you been? How is this crazy journey you're on? Because speaking of which, you know why you're here actually, because apart from being an awesome person, right? It's also about that inspiring thing I told you earlier about. I want people, you know, who follow their fucking heart, who go their own path in life, and just when you meet them, it's like, this is a true spirit, and I want to just be around them because they inspire me with the one they are. To be humble about it. Thank you so much for just popping up in my life.
Bitch, be humble.
Right? And to start that with some way, then, when did that come about? Because you grew up in Brooklyn, New York, right?
No. I grew up in the Bronx. You know that.
Okay. Tell me. School me.
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx. If you're from New York or you know New York, I'm just going to premise it. I grew up in Riverdale.
I'm getting it today.
Too. So, I don't actually talk like that. But, yeah, so wait, what's your question?
No, I mean, when did it start? Like, your inspiring being, was that something that you grew into now? Or how was your personality as a kid?
Oh, where did, like, the Big Al lifestyle come from? So, I am so blessed. I have two amazing parents, and they raised me perfectly. Mom, you did a friggin' good-ass job, so stop, whatever. I'm blessed. I grew up and I was always told to just be whoever I want to be, and that I can do whatever I want to do if I be myself.
Yeah.
And that myself is always enough. And I was never a straight A student. I was a pretty much straight B student.
Oh, yeah.
C+, still above average, but school wasn't really my thing. I was always
I got you on that one.
I used to somehow convince my teachers to let me create a film instead of writing a paper.
You were that kid, huh?
Yeah.
That special kid that always sat in the back, and then for all of us, and they always brought in different, what?
Yeah, I was very distracting. Like my what's that thing? The report card every year, it said, I always distracted people. I was always a distraction. So yeah, I think I took attention most of the time. But I think it was for the better, because I'm very happy and I'm very proud of, the person that I am. I don't know. I think I'm
but that's
always
good,
evolving.
Though. You should be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you should own it. You like I said, that's why you're on the show, because you show that you're proud of who you are and take place, because you do.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that, because you were rooming in my... Oh, look who came now. Speaking of actually going your own road, it's Plies I hear in my ears. So I'm thinking it's time for a little bit of music for you people out there. And we're going to just give you a little bit of Shorty with Plies.
For it. Lil' mom the baddest thing around and she already know it. I pointed at the dunk and told her this supposed to be yours. Showed her a couple stikes and told her I'd let her blow it. The hottest nigga in the city, baby, you can't ignore it. I showed her I was a real nigga and she went for it. First time I called her shit, she didn't even know how to throw it bike. Now she an animal, I got a sex game right. I taught her how to talk to me while she take pipe. And open up and show her what a real nigga like. I told her usually do this, I don't fuck on the first night. Cause after I beat you, babe, I'm liable to fuck up your whole life. I got a train now she suck me with ice. I call her my little busted baby cause she keep it tight. Whenever I tell her to bust, I ain't got to tell her twice. Whatever I wanna get off, she know how to get me right.
Even though I'm not your man, you're not my girl, I'ma call you my shawty. 'Cause I can't stand to see you treated bad. I beat his ass for my shawty. And we ain't did nothing that we ain't supposed to do 'cause you my shawty. Baby girl, you know I be home, keep me on the ringtone. Say it to me, girl.
Know why they wanna be bae, look all that ass on her. Look how that pussy sit up in them songs, you gotta want her. Love when she act like she bow-legged and bend the corner. She proud to be fucking me, cause I'm stunting on them. It feel good to be fucking a real nigga on her. Ain't called in 2 days, gotta let her mind wander. But when she miss me, she call and tell me to jump on her. That's why I don't mind breaking off, cause she ain't with the drummer. If you done ripped her before, you know I done cuffed her mama. You know she gotta be something, cause I done beat her Honda. Bass snatching now, I'm telling you, I promise. I exposed her to the real and now she ain't lame. Remember she used to run from me, now she like pain. She called me sometimes just to ask me is it her thing. But since I ran up and shot it, she ain't been the same.
Even though I'm not your man, you're not my girl, I'ma call you my shawty. 'Cause I can't stand to see you treated bad. I beat his ass for my shawty. And we ain't did nothing that we ain't supposed to do 'cause you my shawty. Baby girl, you know I be home, keep me on the ringtone. Say it to me, girl.
Welcome back to Barcelona City FM 107.3. You're listening to Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron and Allison, aka Big Al Currier.
Yo!
How you doing?
I'm so good. I'm still really good. I'm extra good now.
Oh my God. And we got it going on Instagram as well. Thank you so much from New York. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be great. Feels so good to have you. So let's get back into it. Before this amazing song by Plies, this is a guy who really decided to wend his own route. When did you decide to start to go your own route and to be the inspiring person you are right now? When did it start?
I don't know if it was a decision. I don't know. I mean, my own route physically, I think there was this moment, I think I never went any other route but my own route, but I think I really dove into myself when I did my first solo trip.
Okay.
Because I have a serious passion for traveling. Right now, I'm traveling for 5 months all around Europe and Africa.
Interesting mix.
Yeah, you know, just
Interesting
up,
mix.
straight down.
Right.
And I could tell you, we could get into more where I've been, where I'm going. But 3 years ago, I fell in love. I was supposed to, actually, shout out to one of my best friends,
Oh my
Ren
God, there's
Ostry.
a story here.
Yeah, Ren Ostry, she's one of my homegirls from college and a real sister to me. And she moved out to LA about 4 years ago now, maybe 5, I don't know.
Okay.
But she invited me to drive across country with her, and we're gonna do this road trip. And see what's
a
good.
real road trip.
A real road trip,
One of
like
those
American style.
Oh, you did the Route 66, right?
Yeah, no, well, let me tell you the story. So we make a plan, and last minute she backs out.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, we had both saved up. And I ended up without a plan, and I was really excited to do this trip, right? So she goes, Al, like, you should just go on a trip by yourself. Like, you should just do your own thing. And I'm like, no, but we were gonna do this road trip. And she's like, if anyone could travel solo, it's you.
Oh, nice.
And so I had a moment where I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to Canada. Because I was like,
Canada?
I want to leave the US now. Like, I want to do something. So natural, like, movement for Americans when they want to, like, natural movement for Americans is like North Canada, because it still doesn't technically count as America, because it's not.
Yeah.
I'm doing some mic checks here.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
So I went to Canada. I went to Nova Scotia, and I work awayed. Do you know what that is?
No.
Do you know what woofing is?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Okay, woofing is similar to work away, where basically woofing and work away is similar, where you basically work for free in exchange for housing and food sometimes. So I worked for free. I have some experience working in construction, actually. So I was the handy woman at a hostel in Nova Scotia for like 2 weeks. And that's where I met a bunch of travelers, and I was really like, okay, I'm doing this. So then 2 weeks later, I moved on, and I basically backpacked through Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Ontario, and Quebec, all over the cities and the country. I was on like a hippie commune camp for 1 week. I was, in Quebec City, and throughout that trip, I found couch surfing.
Nice.
And couch surfing is like, these days I say, hey, my name's Allison. They call me Big Al, and I'm a couch surfer. Like, that's what I am. That's who I am, I think, right now. So that was 3 years ago. I did my first solo trip that ended up turning into a road trip with my friend Rebecca. Shout out to Medium Rebecca.
Shout out to Rebecca.
Yeah, she goes by, well, she actually has an Etsy called Strung Out with 2 T's. She makes feministy awesome accessories.
I need to check that out.
Yes, everyone that's listening, go to Strung Out with 2 T's on Etsy or Facebook or Instagram. Go on my shit and you'll find her shit, basically.
We're already plugging, huh?
Always.
You've been doing this for life, huh?
I'm a millennial, you know what I mean?
Ain't we all, huh?
So anyway, yeah, I fell in love with solo travel, and then that was 3 years ago. After that trip, I started saving up. I got back into working. I moved back to New York. I moved to North Carolina for a minute. That was weird. Moved back to New York, and 3 years later, I'm on like a way bigger deal solo trip, and it's totally doable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, I'm inspired already. That's what it's all about. And like, okay, so all of those places, you started with Nova Scotia and then Ontario. Which of those places blew your mind the most? Because that was your first big trip.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with like the corny shit and tell you that Halifax blew my mind, but not because of the place, although Halifax is awesome.
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, you know these places. That's crazy.
Dude, I watch movies, okay?
Oh, yeah, Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, that's their thing. That's like their pride, which is really sad.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be sad, right? No. It's like fucking Cleveland or whatever, who got the Rocky statue.
Right, exactly.
Like, the best shit you're about to say about your city is a fictional character. Get the fuck out.
No, my cousins are from Cleveland, so shout out to
Maybe it's not even Cleveland. I might be wrong, but one of those cities, one of those boxing pride cities, right?
Word.
They literally have Rocky as a statue. I'm like, okay, I mean, calm the fuck down. It's a movie. It's a good movie, but it's a movie.
Rocky
right?
killed some shit. I've been there.
Dude, I'm advocating for that, dude.
For real.
You got your shit together.
But yeah, what was I saying?
I don't know. Nova Scotia, you were about to give me the run by.
The reason Halifax blew my mind was because that's where I first couch surfed for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it all started, and I learned what it meant to really enter someone's home and life and trust and meet people with very equal intentions. Like, there's no joke when you walk into someone's home and they open their door as wide as you take the step in. It's like you're on the same level, and it's like there's no question if we're gonna be cool, because we have a mutual understanding, and like
Right.
We want to be cool. Like
Right.
if any situation has the same intention, I think like you're good to go.
Right. And isn't that what it's about? You know, that open-heartedness, because that's what I told you myself, the explanation when we were chatting with your friend from New York.
Yeah.
That it's just about to have an open heart. And if you have an open heart and a clear mind and a good conscience, you're going to get it back.
Yeah.
And I've had it repeatedly so many times. And like yourself, I'm a sucker for couch surfing, and I will continue to do that shit and make other people do it because it's beautiful when it works.
And thank you, Alex. First of all, thank you for hosting me because I hit him up. He did not offer to host me. This is funny. Alex did not offer to host me. He hit me up because I looked cool, and he was having like some people over or a jam sesh or something. Yep. And this was super last minute, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good, but like, can I actually stay with you? Because like the guy who accepted me, you know, you got to go with your gut because you are entering a stranger's home.
Yep.
And he was being a little weird in the messages.
Weird in what way? Because that's interesting.
Okay, not in inappropriate way. Not there. That does happen. There's a lot of inappropriate men on the internet.
Yeah,
there is inappropriate men on couch surfing, and if you want to couch surf, you have to be careful.
Yep.
And I have a lot of easy tips and tricks I could give people.
Please
contact me, or I could tell you them, whatever.
Yep.
But he wasn't being sketchy. He was being like hyper logistical and kind of like didn't sound like fun. It was kind of like, okay, so you're gonna be out of the house at this time, and I have to be back at this time, and I'm arriving at this time.
Welcome to
like,
boot camp.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy Alex looks really dope, and he's having a jam sesh, and he seems cool. So I'm just trying to like make it easy and fun.
Cool.
So I think we vibed each other before we met, which is like the best situation. Yeah.
And that's usually, you know, from having a lot of experiences now to host. I've been hosting like a crazy person, you know, and it's all about the connection you get when you're starting to write with a person. And I've had that so many times, and I've had it with you as well. You just write, and you're like, hey, I'm about to do this shit. If you want to join, you know, I'm happy to oblige. And then, you know, you just feel in the answer what type of person you might be talking to, their answer, like, okay, kind of laid back and everything. And I'm kind of straightforward with the 420. So it's all about, you know, how you feel about it. What connections seem to be here. And if you're having it when you're writing, shit, when you connect, when I'm open the door, like when I met you, you're, hi. And I was like, shit,
like,
that's my homegirl right there. And I wasn't wrong.
No.
I wasn't wrong one bit.
Yo, I'm your homegirl for life, for real.
Dude, that ain't no joke.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy. Feel the love.
I do. I fucking love you. I don't give a fuck. I do.
Did you hear that, people?
Okay, chill.
Can you say it again? Say it again.
No. You said it to me.
I love you. I love you.
I love you too.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
And like I wrote in my promo also, like, because I mean, you just fell into my life, right? And you've been an amazing experience, even though it's been a short but intense. But I still like, what would Allison do? That's a new expression, you know? And it helps me.
I kind of feel the same way, but I think that's any relationship. It really needs to be mutual.
Yeah.
And I mean, you people are in your life for a reason, you know? We're not just kind of being there, and we're definitely not being negative. Like, if you have negative shit in your life, replace it. Like, I read this somewhere. Like, you don't need to get rid of a friend. You really don't need to get rid of someone if you're hanging on to them,
right?
Unless they're creating a negative space in your life. But add something positive. Like, add a positive person.
Yeah.
You can always add, and you could create that. Like, it's and couch surfing, man.
No, but definitely, and also to tie it in, to speak it about inspiration and inspiring, because I've been told myself that you are an inspiring cat, and then I've been like, that means so much to hear. But then I look in the mirror, I'm like, what does it really mean? Because when I look into myself, I, you know, of course, because I know myself better than anyone else, is that you tend to look at your own cracks. But if you turn it around with yourself, you know, because I bet you've been told that as well, that you're an inspiring person. And for me, you are. So I've been telling you.
Ditto.
But thank you. But what do you think it is, though, when you look at yourself? That when you reflect on yourself, what is the inspiring part that speaks to other people?
Okay, this is like a real That's not an easy question to answer for me.
Yes, nailed it.
Because there's this word humble, and people like Alex and I are very out there, and we get these compliments a lot. I've heard people compliment you already many times because he is an unbelievable musician, and you'll have to check him out on.
Thank you so much.
He has a YouTube too.
Oh my God, she's plugging me on my own show.
No, but you know, like we both get these kind of compliments where it's like, I wish I could be so comfortable talking to strangers as you, or I wish I could just have your energy.
Right.
And I'm so grateful when I get those, but it's this internal struggle of like, how do I stay humble if people are throwing these at me? And so when I look in the mirror and I'm like, why me? I do understand, like I get it, but it's not a clear like answer because it's like I'm only feeding off of what you're allowing me to be. Like the people that compliment me, I think the people that give compliments like that are so beautiful because they have the capacity to give that compliment.
Right.
You know, you could see when people are giving you that look or they're like, who's this bitch that walks in? Because, you know, I'll walk into a room and I'll like turn it around.
Right.
And I see right away, well, okay, I'm actually pretty oblivious. My friends usually are like, yo, those girls are
Don't play
staring
that
at
card
you.
with me.
No, I'm a little oblivious sometimes because I'm so in my moment. Like,
Oblivious to what?
to the negativity.
Okay.
I'm oblivious to the negativity when people are judging me.
But is that a conscious choice though?
No.
Or you just don't notice? Because I'm the opposite.
I don't notice, and my friends will tell me, like I was at a rooftop party,
right?
And I walked in and I was talking to everyone, and some people just don't want to engage, and those are the people that are like giving me bad looks. But I don't think about it as them judging me. I'm just like, oh, that's weird. Okay. But my friends will tell me like, oh, they think you're doing too much or you're taking up too much space. So, you know, it's like just staying true to yourself and like not letting negative energy like take over.
Damn.
I don't know.
No. I mean, amen. Because then I have to learn from you. Because for me, those of you who have been listening to my show, you've heard this before. But I've had a lot of issues, you know, from not speaking out from myself being a kid. Because, you know, being black growing up and white, and, you know, everybody's heard the spiel. But, you know, that in itself has now led me to almost looking for it. Because I feel like I have so much stored up inside. So I'm like, okay, who's looking at me a weird way? And I know, you know, sometimes I even attract that into my own life. And hearing someone like you then saying you just let it wash over. And I've had other people as well, both in my life and in the radio show, that says the same. Just let it wash over you. So that is very inspiring and very, you know, humbling to hear. Because I know I have to work with that shit very hard.
We're always working on shit. Like we think we figure shit out. We've been through shit, and now we're, you know, realizing it again. Like, oh, now that I know I'm the shit, I'm gonna know what you're like. Okay, I know you don't think I'm the shit. Like, fuck you. But it's like, actually, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Sorry, I'm cursing a lot, but you said I could curse.
No. I love it. Be real.
Okay.
That's what it's about. And actually, you're gonna get.
Sorry, Grandma.
Damn, girl. The boys are on it.
The boys?
Mm-hmm. The boys, they went. Damn.
I heard it.
Oh, you heard it. Everybody else heard it.
I'm single.
Oh, yeah? Everybody heard it out there. You know what to call. You're listening to Barcelona City FM 107.3, Shameless Exposure. If you are single, if you're looking out there, I have a beautiful and talented guest here in my studio, Allison, a.k.a. Big Al Currier, and you can see her on Instagram where?
Oh, yeah. Hit me up on Instagram, BigAl_Big Apple.
Oh, damn. And where did you find, the name, Big Apple? How are you the New York girl, so to say, personified?
Okay, so I believe that everyone thinks they run New York, but New York middle school kids run fucking New York. Like, for real. Like, when I was in middle school, like, we ran the city. Like, I believe that. Like, the subway, for example, like, my friends from New York, people from New York, or you've been to New York, you see middle schoolers on the subway, they don't give any fuck. They will fuck with you, they'll scream, they'll, like, almost punch you in the face, and all you could do is just, like, be quiet.
Okay, I'm just gonna call you buff, because, run around the Barcelona metro, shit, a screaming kid? Come on.
Nah, they run the city. And you know what? It all comes back to like I think you're your realist when you're raw, when you're uncensored, and kids, like, they're uncensored. You know? Like they believe that believe that I ran New York when I was in middle school. So when I was in middle school, my middle school gym teacher, Mr. Rick, turned out to be a not so good guy, actually, I think. Rumor has it, but anyway, I won't get into that.
Rumor has it.
He called me Big Al. He gave me that nickname, and my friends had cute names like Hannah Banana and like Little Sarah.
Oh shit.
And he'd be like, Big Al, go play dodgeball with the boys, you know? Because I was always big, and I was never little, and I was physically big, not shy. So it kind of stuck. Like in high school, one of my friends from middle school was like, remember when Mr. Rick called you Big Al? And I'm like, shit, Big Al. I'm going to own that shit.
I can so relate to it because I remember going back to being a kid, right? And you know those fucking boards you sit on, you know, one kid on each side, right? And then one go down and the other goes up, and you know it go back and forth. Seesaw?
Seesaw?
Shit, I have no idea.
Wait,
you tell me. Something with a board and there's a stick in the middle.
I know.
And the weight
I think
and
it's
stuff.
a seesaw, but now it's like I don't even remember.
I was the kid who was always by myself on my side, and then you had like 2 or 3 kids on the other side, and they were still up in the air, you know?
yeah. You needed like, yeah.
And I was like going back on that time like that shit. I'm a big kid. And I've always been called, you know, hey Alex, you're big. But when I look around me and like, you know, and my people around me growing up and even people around me now, I have never felt like a big person. Would you call me big?
Yes, I call you Big Al.
Oh shit.
Big Alex the second. No, I would call you big because well, you're not like big, but like you hold your own and you
But is that what big is though?
To me,
to hold your own.
To me, when I say I'm Big Al, and a lot of guys, they'll be like, oh, I'm not called. Like, I know if I fuck with a guy, if they'll call me Big Al. Because a lot of guys, I'll meet them out and they'll be like, oh, I'm not calling you that. I'm not calling you that. And I'm like, okay, but I told you that's my name. And and they're like, well, you're not big. And I'm like, I want to be big. Big is who I am. Like, I'm Big Al. Like, I'm big. I like my size. I think curves are beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. You rock it.
It's like, you're big and you're big. Yeah. And I think it's the same for you. It's like, you're not like huge. You're not like a huge guy. You got your big fro hair going on, but like you have your big personality. But you could be whatever you want. You could not be big, whatever.
And that maybe is what constitutes a big personality, that you realize that that was about.
Yeah.
Go out there, be yourself. And speaking of which, that perfect, because there is one guy out there, both musically and person-wise, that just stuck with his own. And he's always been himself, and he's a very big inspiration of mine. Those of you who know your music, you know what's about to come in the background. And no, this is not Stevie Wonder on the harmonica. This is Sting with Brand New Day.
Turn the clock on the way back. I wonder if she'll take me back. I'm thinking
Oh, Barcelona City FM 107.3 Shameless Exposure. You're back on with Alex Lebron and Allison Big Al Currier.
Yo, shameless.
Shamelessly, you're back. And now we're also joined by people from the Big Apple on Facebook Live. We have people in Sweden. We have people in Spain. We have people all over the world joining us in the studio.
Yo.
And you're just chilling right now, huh?
I got my leg up. Well, you know,
wow.
There's been some bumps in the road the past week. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Bumps in the week.
Oh, you know what? I am going to tell you about this because it's relevant.
Oof.
And I am not ashamed.
Lay it on me, girl. Lay it on me.
Okay, so, you know, I'm in Barcelona. I entered, when did I get here? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. I think it was.
So my day was your first day. Was that when you came? Oh, shit.
I came from the airport. Dude, I had a flight. It was so delayed. I told Alex, okay, I'm running late. And he's like, okay, well, if you're down to go out when you get here. I was in an airport. I was on an airplane for 6 hours for an hour-and-a-half flight. I'm not going to get into the details, but there was like all this technical difficulties. And I arrived to Alex's place. What was it, like 10:30 at night?
Yeah, pretty much
I was
going.
I was so gross. I needed a shower. He was like, okay, we're going out. Like, he had a spliff rolled. He had the music blasting. He had the incense. Like, I entered this like magical wonderland.
Right?
If you ever go to Alex's house, which if you're my friend and if you come to Barcelona, honestly, if you're my friend and you come to Barcelona, you'll meet Alex. But he has this awesome apartment and it's just good vibes. And I just needed a shower. So it was like, you know, I took a quick shower by 11 o'clock, my first night in Barcelona.
Yeah, you were quick.
Of course.
Kudos.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quick thing. Showers are not like, it's a quick thing. But that's another story.
Right.
But yeah, and we were out to Craft Barcelona Bar, where they have a jam session every Tuesday and Thursday. Hit them up. You should go. Tonight
shit.
we should go.
You're just on a plug roll.
You should come through. Well, because I like that place. There's a good vibe there. And if I
home.
If I fuck with a place, I'm gonna plug them if I have a platform.
No, definitely.
Because real knows real, you know?
Definitely. And I actually had the guy, you know, Vincent. He's one of my good friends now, and I had him on in the show a couple of weeks ago. That guy is awesome, man. Awesome. You should listen to that episode. It's a good episode. For everybody out there, too, you should check that out on my Mixcloud, where you can find the previous episodes as well. They're as good as Allison is right now, because you're rocking it.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you. Are you kidding? This is your show. This is your show. I'm just on the show. You'll be proud of me when you come on to my show.
I already am. I'm inspiring you to have a show?
Yes, you are inspiring me to have a radio show. Maybe I could do like a travel radio show like while I'm traveling. Yo, definitely. Can you do that?
I mean, the sky's the limit. You set your own limits. That's what we're talking about. Follow your own.
A mobile Big Al the Wandering Jew radio show where I interview people in the places that I'm at.
Right. And nowadays, also speaking of which, you know, for all the people out there and YouTube channels. Because I realized that shit a good 15 years too late.
Yeah, ditto me too.
And I was like, because for me, up until that point, YouTube has been drunk Russians and cat fucking clips, you know? Yeah. And I hate that shit.
Fuck those cat clips.
Fuck those cat clips. And then I just started to actually dive a little under the surface, and I realized that, there's a whole community going on here. Yeah. You can speak and find other musicians. You can share your own art or whatever the fuck you're doing at the moment. But it's an amazing way to reach out to the world. And all of a sudden, that's where it kind of dawned on me, like, hey, you should do a YouTube channel. Not to say that my YouTubing is professional, because it's not. But I love it. Yeah. Because, you know, I just sit down with my drums and, you know, I have my cameras and, you know, why not share? Because, you know, that there's nothing that makes my blood pump as much as just going crazy with whatever, you know?
And then Alex, if you know Alex, he does like to share. So it's true. So, you know, not only do you get to play the drums, but you can film it. You could get creative with your transitions. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Don't out me. You know, I just started to edit my films, and I can tell you people that I suck at it. But, you know, baby steps.
No, baby steps, always.
Right?
But, I was going to tell you my bumps in the road.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know them, but I guess I'm telling these people.
Please do. And this is good. For everybody who's listening out there, please pay attention, because this is good.
Yeah, so this is like my positivity theme, right? Because I get here, we had a great night. Like, I think we stayed up and out all night for like 3 nights in a row. The first 3 nights I got here.
Yep.
It was fun. It was fun. We
It was
needed
heavy.
like some recovery, but right at one point, whatever, one night I came home in the morning. I went shopping to get running clothes because I'm like, I need to like get some of this alcohol out of my system. I need to go for a run. Well, I come back to the house with a sprained ass ankle. Yeah.
Oh, you were so bad, and I felt so sorry for you. But you know,
Yeah.
it makes for a good story. And you got to tell me what happened, because it was you and the payment that went for it, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Barcelona is a fucking beautiful city. Like you look up in the Gothic district where Alex lives, and it's just like
Not
balconies.
really. I live in Raval, though.
Raval.
But it's kind of old town looking, but it's still Raval, though. Sorry.
No, good. Thank you for correcting me because this is important. I know I'm from a city where it matters a lot, where you actually are. So I was in Raval. Anyway, we're looking, it's just a beautiful, the streets are so narrow, something you just don't see in New York. And,
Yep.
and I was probably looking up, honestly. And the step is really steep also, like from the street to the sidewalk. And I had a bag of groceries with like orange juice, requested by Alex, get his orange juice.
Yep.
And eggs. And it was kind of heavy, I'm not going to lie. And part of the story.
Zing, zing.
And
I never heard that.
My foot like twists out to the side, like to the left, like the left foot twists to the left. I don't know. Anyway, went to the side. And I went down like a steep step with a heavy bag in my hand. So it like kind of brought me heavy, like
With
hard.
eggs.
With
So you
eggs,
couldn't
and-
let go of that shit.
No. Oh yeah, the first thing I thought was the fucking egg.
I know. Because they were my eggs.
But I studied environmental studies in college, and I know that agriculture is really fucked up industry in the U.S. And I also know that if the eggs are hard, that means they have a lot of calcium, which means they're healthier because the shell, is healthier. So, yeah. Those eggs had a lot of calcium.
And those eggs were are you blaming the eggs? Is that where we're going?
I'm blaming the orange juice mostly.
Oh, so it was my fault. You hear that, people? For everybody, I'm talking to you out there. She's blaming me.
I am.
Of course.
No, I would never. But yeah, and then I went down, and then I got back up, and no one really cared, and I was like, I'm fine. But I was kind of stuck. And then I wobbled home, and then like Alex and Francisco, shout out to Francisco, my homeboy.
Shout out, man. You're awesome.
Like, for real, like this guy, we met him 2 nights earlier at Kraft, and he's just like the homeboy. Like he came over, he rubbed my foot, he gave me ointment, he gave me medicine, he gave me food.
And actually, I'm sorry, but I need to give them the run by, to shout out again to you, my man, because you're amazing. Speaking of, being inspiring and people in Barcelona and how it works, because I want to tie it into that, is that I was on my way home this regular ass day, and I always, when I go somewhere, I have at least my guitar, my drumsticks, my saxophone. I usually have at least one instrument, because you never know when you could use an instrument, right? And from
The apocalypse, the
right?
apocalypse.
The apocalypse. So from out of nowhere, out of the blue, out of the box, out of everywhere, pumps this guy up from by his bike. He just by his bicycle up to me from behind and said like, "Hey, you're a musician?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, I play the trumpet. Do you play anywhere in town?" I was like, "Yeah. There's a jam session happening tonight at Kraft." So I let him know about that, and then we went, and he was already there jamming out with his boys. And, one of his cats also brought the saxophones. I was like, oh, shit, I'm not needed around here anymore. No, but it was awesome, though. It was awesome. So we jammed out. And then after that, we were like, what were we? Like a good 8-9 people who just sat and jammed out, right?
Yeah. We went back to Alex's crib and just brought some beers and smoked a little and just created music until like 5 a.m.
We actually sat and wrote. And that's what I love, because there's, one side with when you bring people home and you just sit and jam and sing and have a good time, which is amazing. I love that. But then it's the others, when the right type, so to say, with respect, air quotes, the right type comes along who is actually like, yeah, let's work. Let's sit here. We're all kind of fucked up in our own way, but let's work. Because we're all kind of in it in our own way. So one is maybe lyrically given or, and one is the music or anything. But it was just one of those magic moments.
Those magic moments. But that speaks to what we spoke about earlier, which is just like being in that positive mental state.
Yep.
Like everyone that came to your crib that night had a positive package to bring.
Yep.
And we all wanted to like create.
Yep.
And encourage each other. And like, I'm not a musician. This is actually like okay, Alex this was before he like really knew that I can't sing, and he kept trying to get me to sing. I'm like,
I'm sorry,
my dude, I don't sing. Like I do, I hang out, I talk, like I don't know, but like anyway, it was just like this encouraging thing that everyone was doing, and it was really just special.
Yeah, but you can kind of, if you even not in the moment, if you're in an atmosphere like that, it's so easy to just catch on to it. Because I've been myself, going back in the days, and preferably when I was living in California, when you just came home and you were totally tossed, but then you heard your boys jamming out in the living room, and it took me like a good 2-3 minutes, and I'm like, shit, I can't miss this.
Yeah,
I need to get my ass up and out there. So you never know when magic might appear, and I want to be there.
Energy is contagious. Energy is so contagious, and you just got to ride the wave. It makes you happier. Like your environment, it's everything. If your environment is negative, get your ass up and move. You will see. You don't have to do anything. Like I think physical moving is the easiest thing. I mean, but running sucks. I hate running. Don't run. But like, walk.
Has that always been easy for you, growing up in New York and around that area? Because for me, growing up in Sweden, that's one of the biggest issues, and still is, I want to argue, because you keep hearing that shit from people. I want to get out, but I don't know how. I don't know where to start. I don't know. And mentally, you just start to build that wall. So you lock yourself into that place where you'd not necessarily want to be. How is it in New York, being from there?
Okay. New York is a huge city, and it's very dynamic. So you have people that you have every culture, every background, every group, every type of mother. Like you have everything in New York. So the world that I grew up in was like, I was always on the track mentally to get out, to like go to college. Like that was what was expected of me. So you don't really know, like for example, this is like a really random example, but like I'm Jewish, and and all my friends are Jewish. So all my white friends were mostly Jewish for the most part. Yeah. So I really didn't realize, like when I went to college, that people were telling me that I was the first Jewish person they met, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is so weird.
Was it a situation of 50 Shades of White?
Right?
I'm sorry, weird. I just had to.
I know, but I like, I'm white, so I'm just like, okay, everyone's Jewish if they're white. That's such like I didn't actually think that consciously, but it was like one of those things where it's like I wanted to get out and see what was out there.
Right.
And I'm really glad I did, and I'm also I'm really proud of my city, and that I can come home and be from New York, and like be so like there's this energy in New York that is so unique, and it's like it's a hustle,
right?
But it's also, and sometimes it's too much of a hustle. Like sometimes people forget that we could also support each other and lift each other up, because you could get lost in it. But
does that happen a lot?
I think it does happen, and I see it happening in the creative community, in artists sometimes,
especially in an enormous place like that. Because I mean, New York is rocking the same population in the country I grew up in, back in the day. Because I don't know if it was a decade ago or something, but we had 8 million in the country. Now I think we just passed 10 last year or something, but it was 8 million
in Sweden.
Yeah, in Sweden,
in the whole country.
In the whole country, and that's like New York.
Yeah. New York is like 9 million.
Yeah, you see? So, I mean, in the vast sea of people like that, I can understand that it's hard to, to get through the hustle. Because, again, you're competing with a whole country in my perception.
Right.
And damn, I mean, like you said, if you can make it in New York, you can make it. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yes. Concrete jungle where dreams are made. You're going to have to play that song. But yeah, it's a beautiful city. I think the best is like the other night. I mean, when people are supporting each other, when real is supporting real and artists are supporting each other, I think that's the best situation. But you could get lost in the city, and I feel really blessed to have grown up there, because you grow up in a unique environment, and you are forced to be more inclusive. Yeah. Or accepting, because you see everybody, you interact with everybody on the subway,
right?
And it's a beautiful place, but yeah, it's not for everybody. And I really advise people who want to move to New York don't move to New York unless you really, really have to or really, really like want to that badly. Yeah, because we don't need more like random ass people in New York. That's a big issue.
Oh, look who just became territorial, huh?
Well,
this is my house.
Well, it's a big issue in New York because of housing and gentrification and people coming in from all over the country. All you need now to live in New York is money. And that's not what New York used to be. Like when our parents grew up in New York, it wasn't desirable.
But isn't kind of that what's happening globally? The more and more capitalistic we become as our whole?
It's happening everywhere.
Because, I mean, I feel, just a couple of months ago here in Barcelona, we were sitting having a beer. And then from nowhere, this massive, protest just appeared. And it was for, rents going up. And, those Airbnb apartments and the vacation apartments that all of a sudden the rent is twice for the other tenants in the building. And so, I mean, people are getting mad as beep here now.
Yeah.
And I can kind of understand.
Yeah. And so if you're one of those people that is unintentionally raising someone's rent, you have to think about, okay, it's not that you shouldn't go, but think about why are you there? Like Francisco is like a great example. I think you're a great example. Individuals that move to a city and have community and positivity as their, core, like, intentions.
Yeah.
Like Francisco has a really dope community center and art space called Old School in Barcelona, and every night it's €5 to join. It's a membership, and it's just like you could just come and jam and play music. You really have to get there. And it's just such a good vibe, and it's for the community. So if you're like contributing something positive, like that's great. But if you're just like afraid to engage with people and you're just taking up space and raising rent, not so great. Like you should probably leave.
Get your ass out here. They took her job. No, but I mean, okay, in retrospect, I can play the villain and I can also play the devil's advocate, because I can see the benefit of both sides, Of course, I can relate to, but then again, I kind of belong to the enemy with being here, even though I come with a nice output and stuff. So now we have 6 o'clock, so it's time for some news, people. We're going to catch a little air. Hopefully the rain is going to stop, and we'll catch you in a little while. Have a good one.
It's 6 o'clock.
"19th of October, you're listening to Barcelona City FM, and now it's time for the news. Catalan President Carlos Puigdemont has told Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy that the region's parliament could formally vote through its suspended independence declaration if Madrid persists in impeding dialogue. In his second letter to Rajoy in less than a week, Puigdemont again avoided giving a straightforward, concrete yes or no answer on whether he had declared independence as the Spanish government had asked for, instead focusing once more on his offer for dialogue. Meanwhile, news from Madrid this morning is that they will indeed act out 155 of the Spanish Constitution. This means that they will formally end the autonomous agreement with Catalonia. The first opportunity for Spanish ministers to meet together is Saturday, so we now have 2 days of waiting to see if both sides can move closer together. For more information on these stories, come through to our blog at blog.barcelonacityfm.com.
Barcelona City FM 107.3. You're listening to Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron and Allison Big Al Currier in the studio.
Yo, I'm here, fully complete. I know, I'm so sorry.
Everybody who was asleep definitely woke up now. You're not asleep anymore.
Yo, Big Al is not medium and she is not little, let me tell you.
Own it. Own it. I love it. So you've had some news, and that was Guns N' Roses with November Rain. So we've just been out grabbing some air and watching the amazing heavy rain that comes over Barcelona City right now.
I think it's good for this city to have some like refreshing rainfall because I love Barcelona, but this is a concrete jungle.
Yeah, it definitely is, but it's the right type of concrete jungle because you can find the, like we're talking about, the inspiration, the creativity, the genuinity, and the list just goes on. Mm-hmm. And I love that about our concrete jungle.
Yeah, I agree.
And where were we before the news break? We were talking about something. We're talking
about the motherfuckers that take their bank accounts and move their asses into cities and move people out of them.
Buy out. Yeah. So, in conclusion...
To that. We're so good together.
I was expecting a big boop censor, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Might be kids listening to this. Got to keep it above the level.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice. But I want to segue into something because I got a pure American here with me in the studio, right? And something I've been complimented about for a good amount of years right now, it's my English. And I'm actually kind of proud of it because, you know, it's not a secret for anyone anymore. I grew up in Sweden, right? And Swedish is kind of those language that is easy to spot when you hear English or maybe even other languages as well, because, you know, kind of quirks here and there. But I feel, and I've been told, that I've rid of all those quirks. And when I was living in the US, I was actually told that I had an accent that I sounded out was from Wisconsin. And I have no idea how Wisconsiners sound like. So maybe you can fill that blank in for me.
Yeah, I don't know either. Although I went to Wisconsin once and they
should know.
Me and my friend Rebecca, shout out to Rebecca again.
Shout out
Medium Rebecca. We on our road trip.
Yep.
We went to Wisconsin. We went to the troll capital. We got free mustard at a mustard factory. We got free pie at a pie diner. And we ate a lot of cheese, and we also went vegan for that one day, but we unveganed ourselves very quickly.
Yeah.
But we were in Wisconsin, and I think I remember their accents being like very like clear.
Okay. Clear in what way, so to say?
Okay, like well-rounded. Like a rounded sound. I'm really just describing your accent now.
Because like that's kind of, I mean, I've been told that I have, you know, that round California thing.
Yeah.
But to be fair with it, you know, I had my American accent before I moved to America.
Okay,
because growing up in Sweden, you know, watching a lot of movies, listening to music, that's predominantly where my English comes from, not school. Because in school, they keep teaching you that, you know, that Oxford shit, as if that's like on top of everything. You know, I had my American accent, and they almost flunked my ass for it because of my accent.
Damn.
And I'm like, what? I'm one of the best in my class, but I have an accent. I have this accent, and you're gonna flunk me? You know what I'm gonna say?
Flunk you.
Flunk you.
Flunk you.
No, but definitely. So, being an American, what would you say about my American accent?
Alex knows how I feel, but I'm going to tell the world who's watching. This mofo over here does not have an American accent. Ouch. Anyone from America, and I have 3 people on my Instagram live. Wait, is that a 3 or a 2?
That's 3.
Oh, word. Okay, if you're watching this, does he have an Americanized accent? Like, he's a black man from Sweden. It's already confusing. But is it American? Does he sound American? I guess more than other things, but you...
And also, before you answer the question, everybody on Instagram and everybody out there, just realize I have a big show with the Symphony Orchestra. It's really nice coming up the 24th. And if you answer right on this question, I might hook you up with some free tickets. So, yeah, thread carefully, people. Yeah, get back to us.
Yeah, you could be my date.
Oh, shit. Yeah. You can be Allison's date as well. That's another competition. So tune in.
I do have a few options already.
Oh, you work fast. Respect.
I'm just saying, I'm not gonna say anything, but
no, it's good. It's good.
I mean, you know, I'm pretty selective, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So
you have to be with this body. Come on.
Oh, I think the audience want to hear more. Elaborate.
Well, they're all dwindling. Hello, America. You were okay. Someone's commenting.
Yeah, wake up, America. Wake up. Someone's
Okay,
writing
Joe
something.
Dirt. Joe Dirt. What is his accent, Joe?
What is my accent, Joe? Now we're gonna see what Joe Dirt.
Joe,
where is Joe located as of right now?
I think he's in New York. But
New
this
York?
whole live thing, it's like we're here, you're here. I know you see this. So can you please respond? Like, what is this?
Maybe this is social media thing that people just have it up. So now they see I'm here, and then they go and do some other shit.
Like, if you're not looking at your phone, what are you looking at?
Oh, he's answering.
responded.
So let's see. What do I sound like, Joe?
The Bronx, that's where you're at?
And
What's
correct me if
good?
I'm wrong, girl, but Bronx, the last time I checked, was in America, right? So where you
Okay.
at? Allison 10. Thank you so much, Joe. You're so much
Joe,
welcome.
wait, we need clarification here. Hold on. He sounds like he's from the suburbs.
The suburb?
Sounds like he's from the suburbs, and
He
Joe's
just-
in the Bronx.
He just called me white.
Well, whitewashed a little.
No, it's all good.
Well, I mean, the dude grew up in Sweden. What are you gonna do?
I know, right? I'm kind of, I had to adapt.
Well, you don't sound like you're from the hood, but I know you didn't think you did.
No.
Right.
I mean, I never tried, but it's got to be real. I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. I just speak the English I do.
Right. And it's good. It's honestly some of the best English I've ever heard.
Oh my God, that's the first compliment. You were hard. Damn it. Show some love.
No. I just don't think it's but there you go. You sound like you're from the suburbs of America.
Well, okay.
No offense.
No. It's all good, my man. Thank you for the interaction. We really appreciate that. If you happen to be in Barcelona before October 24th, hit me up and I will hook you up with free concert tickets for my show.
You won.
I will love that shit.
And he said, big up Sweden. So he shouted you out too.
Big up, Joe.
Although he doesn't rep Sweden so hard.
Not really. But, respect. He doesn't know that. So thanks for the love, though.
Yeah.
Gotta
Word.
give and take, girl.
Word.
Still, you're being too hard with
Am
people.
I?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Thought you were all about that love.
No, I am about the love, but I'm, still me.
You're still you. Okay, so, that's a perfect thing. You're still you. So I want to get into this before you went on your self-exploration journey, so to say. Your European African shenanigans
Adventure.
tour. I would go with shenanigans tour. Mm-hmm. And let's see, where was I going with this? Yeah, before you were working in this center, this community center. Tell me a little about this, because that, for me, that's super inspiring. When you just want to give to the community and to tie in with Barcelona, there's a lot of that going on here. But you had a lot with that in New York, so please tell us.
Yeah, so I live this double reality mentally. I'm obsessed with the Big Al lifestyle and traveling, but I'm also very passionate about environmental justice and specifically how social justice issues affect people.
Yeah.
Environmental issues affect people. That's what environmental justice is. So there's this awesome organization in North Brooklyn that I worked for called Neighbors Allied for Good Growth.
Okay.
And I project managed on a grant called Lead in Garden Soil Outreach. But basically, I worked on lead contamination specifically in soil. So lead is a heavy metal. I'm going to try not to bore you with this. I can ramble.
No.
So please interrupt.
I'm already realizing that I'm in the studio with fucking current Erin Brockovich, right?
You said that before.
You the one
No.
going up against the big corporate sharks?
Well, I have before. My background, I have done a lot of activism and work around anti-fossil fuels and institutionalized shit. But actually, just to be frank, it's
Yeah,
shit.
right, it's
but
shit.
but this most recently, I got really. I felt a lot of fulfillment from working with a community grassroots organization because instead of fighting the system and
Right.
the politicians, I was working with people on solutions.
Okay.
So I was working with teachers, young students.
But excuse me, but for a layman though, as myself, who's never been in that world, my perception is that as the little guy, you can't really do shit. Every now and then, there's this major breakthrough where someone wins over some corporate thing and gets, millions. But then it goes another decade until that happens again. So it's still kind of an anomaly, right?
You mean fighting the system doesn't work?
Not that it doesn't work, but I don't see the development in the fighting, so to say. I feel that we're still experiencing this. You see big developers taking, they just run over the people who live there at the moment, just push them out, or someone contaminating some water or anything, and nothing happens. Somebody tries to do something, but in the end, it kind of runs out in the sand.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that social justice, just like everything, is a fad and a trend, and it goes in and out of, the hot topics.
Yeah.
But I will also say, like, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement in the U.S., they over and over again, every other week, sometimes every day, depending on the week, you hear about a policeman shooting a black unarmed man in America. That's a world understood issue that we have amongst many issues that we have in the U.S. But something that came out of people mobilizing thousands of hundreds of thousands of people was the need for cameras on these policemen to show really how it's going. And a lot of these cities now have cameras turned on each police officer. So that's an example of like fighting the system with something, like things happen, but it takes a lot of time and money to mobilize and a lot of people. And unfortunately, a lot of the people, they gotta, you gotta go to work, you gotta make a living, you gotta raise your kids. So it's like this constant, like, how do we find time for what we need as the community while also, surviving ourselves.
Right.
So it's like always a never ending process. But I will say that one of the biggest issues in the social justice community is this argument around how to make change happen.
Okay.
So some people say we need to go to protests. Some people say we need a blockade. Some people say that's such a waste of time and energy. We need to work one-on-one with the community. Some people say we need to lobby the politicians. Some people say we need to change our inner selves first. Some people say we need to grow our own food and be independent. Whatever. I could go on forever.
Right.
But the answer really is we need all of that. What we really need is people to believe that they can do something and do something, because social media fucks us up too.
And that's kind of the problem, is it? Because I can advocate that I'm one of those people. And I believe, I've been told so many times that, as a black person in the world, there's never been a situation where it's been better. And I can agree with that. Yes. I mean, and of course, this is coming from me having been growing up in Europe and the northern parts, But when I look around the world in the white community, looking upon the black man, I still feel like, aren't we kind of fooling ourselves? And that for me is, dangerous and big part of the issue that we still, and tying it back to with the police cameras, we still have black people getting shot in pure daylight, caught on camera and all that shit. And going back to the Rodney King beating, that also there was footage, but that didn't help, because it's still a white person, so to say, looking onto a black person. And I don't think if you're seeing that in real life, or if you're watching, something happen in real life, but you're watching footage of it, it's still a white person looking onto a black person. And I'm not saying, I'm talking very generally now. So calm down, people, stay in your seats. But I'm still talking about, I don't see the light in the tunnel.
And it's all about power. It's about who's sitting in those seats and who's making those decisions. Like, every single police officer that has killed an unarmed black man has walked free with a pension. That happens every time. There's no example of that not happening.
Right.
So that's exactly speaking to, where are we going? Are we all just fooling ourselves? It's about who's sitting in the seat of power and who should be sitting in it. And obviously this man who's the president of the United States right now, I don't even need to burden our ears with his name, is a perfect example of that. The fact that he could still be sitting there shows that there's so much to do. And there's the debate. I don't have an opinion on it, but some people say maybe it wasn't the worst thing. It woke people up, or this and that. I don't know. But the fact is there's always things to do. And going back to what I do now, or what I did before this trip, it felt fucking good to do something that was making an immediate impact.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel like I was running into walls. I hosted these workshops where we did free soil testing with Brooklyn College Urban Soils Institute. So if you're in New York, as you know, I always say this a lot, and you want to get your soil tested for lead contamination. Maybe you're in a brownstone in Brooklyn or anywhere in the city or New Jersey, whatever, tri-state area, and you want to see if your soil has lead contamination. You can, for about $12 to $40, you can send a soil sample into the Brooklyn College Urban Soil Institute. You can find them online, and they will test your soil. And it's important because lead is a really a harmful heavy metal that affects children whose brains are still developing. So young ones to like 12, 13, when your brains are developing, it affects your behavioral issues. And as you know, this crisis that happened in Flint, Michigan a few years ago really put lead on the scene. And now the U.S. is, that's what funded my job.
And for me and also my listeners out there, what happened in Flint, Michigan a couple of years ago? Because I don't know.
Yeah. So in Flint, long story short, the city of Flint is extremely racist. And they basically found loopholes to test the water source for that city, which is a mostly African-American community.
Right.
And they avoided getting the water tested, aka poisoning for years and years and years this community with, children, old people, it's a normal community.
And the process of poisoning, was it someone like a constructor?
Okay, it was the water source. So it was the watershed itself had lead in it from, and I don't know the exact source of the lead, but maybe industrial waste, or maybe it was somehow contaminated with lead. And so that was flowing into their water for a long time. And there was media attention on it, but until like one of the major news sources caught on and it became a trend, did actually the government do something. So in New York, and I want to clarify this real quick, our water source and a lot of the water sources isn't what's contaminated when it comes to water. It's the piping in each person's household that has the old piping they were built with lead. And when the pipes corrode, when they get old, the water flows through the pipes and then the lead comes out through the faucet. So a really quick way, if you think you have lead in your water, first of all, get it tested through the city. And that's something I want to work on when I get back to New York, is getting your water tested for free.
Good.
Oh, wait, no. You can get your water test. I'm sorry. It's been a minute. You could get your water tested for free through the New York City website. So go on the website if you want to get your water tested for free. You cannot test your soil for free. That's the issue.
No, but test it though, because I guess it's well spent.
Yeah, test your water. And just one quick tip you could do is you can run your faucet for about 2 minutes and flush out any of that lead that would come through the corroded pipes before you drink the water, if you're worried.
And that's exactly what I meant earlier with, this usually being, something just negligent back in the day. If it's a construction or if it's something else, they just built shit, did a poor job, and maybe even just, cut corners, which is even worse. This capitalistic thinking, like, where can we save some money? Yeah, let's cut back on that, which will give people cancer in 30 years, but that won't affect us now.
Right.
And that's what I mean. Like, so what, as the little person, could you do in that moment more than complain and collect names and all the stuff that has been tried throughout the years now, and still, I don't see a change.
Right. Well, media is huge. And yeah, like, talk to people. Like, that's why I loved my work working with Neighbors Allied for Good Growth, NAG, because I was hosting these workshops. I had community people coming out. I was going to schools, and it felt really good to, I talked to families. I said, hey, I just tested your soil here right in front of you, and here's your results. And it looks like, I'm going to help you make these changes that you need to make for your family. And it was a hard conversation. Like, I am no psychiatrist. I'm not trained in social work. So I had to have these conversations, and it definitely helped me grow as a community organizer, because this is a sensitive topic. This is your kids' health. It was kind of heavy.
No, definitely.
Yeah, kind of
crazy.
I mean,
I guess it can be kind of hard, or maybe it's easier nowadays to make people realize when it's a future issue. It's not something that maybe will affect you now, but like you said, it will affect your kids and so on. How is that when you go into the community and, talk to people? Is it easy to reach them that way?
Yeah,
when it's not,
quick.
An imminent problem. So
it is an imminent.
Maybe it is.
It is. Lead is. If you have lead in your water and in your soil and in your air and your dust, like, it's affecting you now.
But isn't the city doing anything about that? If they knowingly know that, okay, this shit is in our system, people are literally maybe dying from it, I guess.
I don't know about. I mean, enough lead you can die, but it mostly affects the brain development.
Okay. Is that long-term sickness? That can come?
Yeah.
And
It permanently will affect your brain.
And again, then, for me as, an onlooker, I'm like, so where is the money? Where's the investment in the people?
Mm-hmm. And it's right now we have a housing crisis in New York because of, these landlords are not being watched and they take advantage of people, especially if you have rent control. They want those fancy tenants. They want that money. So they legally have to put in a letter and say, lead isn't, you might have lead and this and that, but they don't follow up on it, and it's very unregulated, which is why this work is so important.
Right.
And why I do it, I guess.
And actually, hold that thought, people.
Okay.
It's time for a little break. You're listening to Barcelona City FM 107.3 Shameless Exposure, and we'll be right back after this.
Catalonia, we've got your mornings covered with Barcelona City FM 107.3.
Yeah, and that was that, and we're back, right?
Yeah.
No, I like it, but still, though, it's about the passion. And that's what I always say, it's about the passion. If you show that passion and that you burn for what you're doing, then you can reach people. Because also, being from the New York community, maybe you want to hear me better if you put the earphones on. No, maybe if you go without. Maybe you want to freebase it, right? No, but when working in the community, so to say.
We're live.
Oh, we're live, girl. You're sleeping. I thought you were from New York.
I thought we were on break for longer.
The Big Apple, the city that never sleeps. I guess you sleeping, huh?
I'm from New York.
New York. But so to say, to tie into it, where were we? God, you make me laugh there.
I don't know, I made myself. Lead,
yes.
I don't know.
The lack of investment from the city in the system, from someone who knows from within.
Okay. I like to bring things back to race because I think it's really important to put things into context, because the city was built to be Manhattan centric, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk about like transportation. Recently, they just created you guys don't know they do, but they created a subway basically that goes straight through the most wealthy neighborhood, the Upper East Side. It's called the 2nd Avenue subway.
Yep.
That will allow those rich people that live up there to not have to walk another 3 avenues. It's convenient for them. And it was billions of dollars to put in that subway.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Bronx, where I'm from, which is a more poor area, you can't travel. There is not a single subway that goes from the east side of the Bronx to the west side. You have to go into Manhattan and back up.
Yeah.
It's very inconvenient to travel within the Bronx. So that's a social justice issue that is implanted, a racial issue that is implanted into the development of New York from the beginning of New York. And you could give endless examples of that in the police department, urban planning, like I said, where they store all the buses, where they store the waste. We have issues with the waste transfer stations and the air quality. North Brooklyn and Jamaica, Queens, and the South Bronx, which are poor areas, they handle like almost 100% of New York City's waste. Meaning they have hundreds of trucks that go through their communities every day, causing intense asthma. You can't, and that's an issue I have with the environmental community. A lot of people think like environmental work is all about like save the whales, save the trees. And to me, it's about the environment. Actually, my couch surfing host right now, Patrick, shout out to Patrick. He always says, we are all mammals. We are all mammals. We are all of us are mammals. And to care about a tree or a whale more than a person is going to only divide us further. So I always, whenever I talk about environmental stuff, I talk about social justice because I don't want to divide injustice. It needs to be talked about as a whole. Like there's, but
isn't that what we're doing though in retrospect with ourselves as a people or as a species right now? Everything, like every big development is a development that parts us instead of bringing us together. Because that's what, the previous generation, our parents, that's what they came from. And I think I talked about this with someone else the other day, that, I'm thankful that having been growing up during a period where you had to take your bike and bike for 15 minutes to your friend's house, knock on the door, hey, is he home? Can you come out and play? And then, you were out to like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and then you had your curfew, and by darn if you were home late, and all that stuff. And nowadays it's not like that, because now every day, everything, so to say, is pre-programmed digitally or through the internet or whatever you might say, so that spontaneous, that's kind of dying out, wouldn't you say? Thanks to the quick and instant reach, because you can reach around the world now with one click.
Right. So what's the point?
No, you think I'm running out too much? No, I mean, the point is,
elaborate.
I'm happy, like I said, and maybe it was like this for you growing up in New York as well, where you wanted to connect with your buddies, that you had to you bring your ass to their house. Mm-hmm. Or did you have another, was it always the metro?
Yeah, I always took the subway. But I mean, people in New York, when you're young, you kind of stay in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You have your friends in your neighborhood, and
was it territorial?
You don't, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You don't come in here. Huh?
Right. No, you just know where you're from. But that's why when the homeboys were here before and they were from the Bronx and Brooklyn, I'm like, hey, I'm from the Bronx too, but I'm from Riverdale. I'm not, because
Did you sin?
If I say I'm from the Bronx, so people from New York, they'll be like, oh, Riverdale. And it's like, okay, I'm from Riverdale. It's still the Bronx, but it's a Jewish neighborhood in the Bronx. And it's like, bringing it back, it's the only area with the trees in the Bronx, and it's like, why is it where the white people live, where the trees are, so it's like,
you had to go there, did you?
Well, yeah, but that's because in New York, it's it is so territorial. So it's you can't just say you're from here. You have to
Yeah, but also, I was going to say, I had such a good question for you. And then it just... So, okay, New York. And to tie that into another thing then. Yeah. Because I've been to New York twice, right?
Yay!
And I have to tell you, I just have to tell you, the first time when I lost my New York virginity, and if you're listening out there, please pay attention now.
He got his cherry pop.
I got arrested for armed robbery on the motherfucking Times Square, prime hour traffic. No, rush hour traffic.
Oh my God. Right? Okay, get into this.
So me and, because I was going there, it was my first time overseas, so to say. This was 2007, right? And I went and was going to live at the house of my stepfather's best friend from there growing up. Thomas was his name. So I lived with them in Rockville, Washington, D.C. So him and me took one of those Greyhound buses to New York, and it was 3.5, 4 hours or something, right? So we arrive 7:30-ish in the morning, do all the sights and stuff. We actually start with Times Square, and then we take one of those buses and roam around.
You attempted to find Central Park.
Well, we had a good day. That's when we, walked around and took us 4 hours to find Central Park or something.
Word.
real virgin, right? And then we came back to Times Square. And those hip hop dudes standing there selling demos and stuff. You strike up a conversation. They're all looking, pretty ghetto-y. Mm-hmm. And of course, I stood there, talked with one guy, ended up buying a demo. Everything was good. I started to walk. When I stood and talked with the demo guy, Thomas had got a phone call. So he was a good, 20, 30 feet ahead of me. So he stood with the back towards us. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder, right? I turn around and I have 3 NYPD in my face. Now I said NYPD. That was a Freudian slip, people. I'm not that good. NYPD.
Right, that was good.
And one of them says okay, drop your things on the ground. You're under arrest for armed robbery, in a very much more unpleasant voice and tone. And at this moment, I think, because Thomas was kind of, I think back then he was a banker or something, he had, it's a powerful man, So I thought that he had talked with the police officers. Alex is a tourist, first time in New York, mess with him a little bit. So I give one of them half a smile.
Oh, you thought this was a prank?
I thought it was a prank. So I give them half a smile. One of them does the mantle move, right? For real, touches his gun. He didn't pull it up, but he touched it. And I'm that. I froze. Because all I could think of was here, they fucking shoot black people. They don't ask questions. They shoot us. So the first thing I do is I drop the bags on the ground and I literally start shaking. By this moment now, Thomas has realized like shit what's going on, and he comes back and like, Alex, what did you do? And I look at him with my panic in my eyes, like I didn't do shit. I'm on my way over to you. And they said like, okay, so we got an ID. So people had seen me, that ID'd me, that I supposedly robbed them the night before we even got to New York. And the plot thickens, my friend.
Wait, so people in Times Square were like, that guy robbed me.
Yeah,
that one.
They pointed at me. So apparently I fit a description, and that's kind of a tired story, being black, I guess, living in, that's kind of the one thing you have to fit. Mm-hmm. The glove didn't fit, right?
Usually doesn't.
But then, right, okay, so the story goes on. I had my Swedish passport on me. I had the Greyhound bus ticket, proving I got there that morning and everything. They wasn't buying that. So here comes the motherfucking cuffs, right? They cuffed me, put me in the back of
With the metal cuffs or the plastic?
The metal cuffs.
Wow.
And it hurt.
Yeah.
And by this time, I was like panicking because they were talking about, should we go down somewhere and, everything. You see, I'm shaking in my voice when I talk about it because I got back into the situation, how I felt. And, I was sitting there in the back of that police unit. It was those Crown Victorias, And when I was sitting there, I was like, fuck, I'm in the back of a police car in Times Square, New York, rush hour traffic, handcuffed. They're talking about armed robbery. And here I am, this dumb tourist from Sweden, not knowing shit about New York. I'm just here doing the sights. So,
welcome to America.
Right. So I sit there, and now I just see Thomas running back and forth, talking to different different cops. And by that time, 5 cop cars had shown up. I think there was like 6 or 7 different cops just running around. One of them had my passport. It was just chaos, right? And by this time, it was a big crowd started to gathering around as if I was a big catch or something. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting there shaking, right? And then all of a sudden, one of them opens up and just takes me out, takes away the cuffs, and Thomas basically gives me a thumbs up or something. And I realized, like, okay, it's cool. And then to end on a funny note or something, I had this half circle, this half moon of NYPD officers in front of me apologizing for like, sorry for the mix up, like smile or something. Yeah. And I looked at Thomas, my panic wouldn't leave, right? I had this, we need to get the fuck up out of here right now because I cannot handle this shit. This was too much for me. And where I want to go with this very long story is that thinking about how it is, for a black person or even for a white person in a black community, so to say, because it goes both ways. I'm aware of that. And just having that everyday struggle. And it happened to me sometimes, but it's still different when it's in Sweden. Mm-hmm. When I was there, it was the first thing in my mind, they might kill me. And it was the first time in my life I had that feeling. And, like I said, I'm shaking when I talk about it. And then to be in America and to have that feeling every day, I cannot even imagine. There's not even a question in here. Just like you want to communicate that.
I mean, I can't. I can't communicate how it feels to, and that's like, that's part of the whole white privilege thing. But I know that I will never accept that my, brothers and sisters of color have to live in that fear. That's not okay with me. Like, it just isn't. And that's why I think race is always a conversation that I try not to be afraid to have, because a lot of white people are afraid to have it. Yeah. But like, your story is so unique. It's so common. Yeah, and it's so, it connects to every other story, and it's so fucking ridiculous. Right. And it's never gonna end until we demand it to be ended, like in a very serious way. And that's why, you have to keep fighting, but you have to find your passion. You can't. And that's what Alex does. Like, despite the shit that he's grown up with, he's come out so positive. And that's a beautiful thing, that people are able to, find the beauty within themselves when the world is telling them something otherwise. Like, if you get through that shit, there is nothing but a beautiful human behind it. It's that process. And that's why community is and supporting each other is so important.
And that means the world to me to hear from you, because like I said, it's kind of my philosophy in life. You know, you want to inspire to be inspired. And that's exactly how I feel about you, because you're telling me that, you know, I feel so inspired. And that's kind of what I felt like when I instantly felt your energy when you walked into the room. Like what I feel when I'm around her, that's what I want other people to feel when I'm there. So magic.
Yeah.
And also I want to tie that in, you know, because like I said, I have my quirks. I'm working on it to be my happy self. And I've had some bumps along the road as of late, but you know, slowly but surely, right? Fucking baby steps. One day at a time, or whatever cliche you prefer, but that's kind of where I'm at. And I found a perfect song for this one, so I know you're gonna groove with me out there. Stay with us. We're gonna take a little break here. You are listening to Barcelona City FM 107.3 Shameless Exposure. Welcome to Barcelona City FM. It's 5 o'clock and it's Thursday, and you know what it is. It's time for some Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron. I'm going to be your host. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be your friend for 2 hours now on the radio. Hope you're doing well in the car, on your way home from work. Maybe you're a lonely housewife just doing the dishes, hoping for that shiny knight in armor just to show up. I don't know. Or a house husband. Anyway, we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna groove with you for a while now. Coming up, I have a special guest today. You know, life just happens, so you gotta roll with the punches. But until then, I'm gonna groove with you a little bit. I'm gonna give you some tunes, and this is Give It To Ya with Pete Rock. Hey, I'm good. Barcelona City FM. Welcome back to Shameless Exposure with Alex Lebron and Allison Currier. No, Allison, aka Big Al Currier, who's flirting with my boss here in the studio, huh?
I'm just trying to get a show. I'm inspired.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
You know what sells.
Oh, I know what sells, girl. You need to work that, but you know the game. You know the game. That's what we're talking about, right? Inspired to be inspired. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion we should go with, right? To inspired to be inspired.
I'm so ADD though. Like I will be so. If I
You took it there.
If I continue to be inspired, I'll be like this. Like I wish. I guess there's a camera. It's just like inspired.
Indeed it is.
Inspired by this. Inspired by this. Inspired by this.
No, but
like
that's interesting
a lot of inspiration.
to tie it together though, because another thing I've been talking about with a lot of my creative friends, so to say, is that creative people prognose. No?
Yeah.
If you look at the history, not to say that everyone has it, but it's kind of a red thin line somewhere if you start to look at it. And thinking about myself growing up, I couldn't do math to save my fucking life. I've never been that sitting a school bench person. I've never been that kind who wants to concentrate that type, that way. But put me in a concert hall, put me in a rehearsal space, or put me as if I'm going to do a sport or something. I'm the one who leaves the last, because that's where you have me. Put me in the practical standpoint, so make me do what you want me to learn. That's how you get me to be invested. But this whole thing, to tie it into the educational system, where you put kids in a school bench, force them to sit there to read a book. Maybe the book is even out of date, or maybe the society is shifting more into the Apple iPads or whatever, but that the literature tends to be out of date, so to say. And I feel like no.
What's
up with that?
Don't put these kids in a box. Like, no.
Inspired to be inspired,
like,
right?
You learn when you're using the medium that just makes you stay there. Like, people are creative. Human beings are creative. We're here to create something. We're here to do something. So, like, why is that kid a better kid if he or she or they is sitting there like as quiet as possible, like memorizing shit that they're gonna like not ever use?
Academic standpoint. No?
Academic standpoint. More like academic sit down point and shut up point.
I haven't even seen that one, but it was like, that thing that went viral a couple of months ago. Maybe it's an old one. I don't even know. But this kid, even this small kid holding a TED Talk about that he was pretty much homeschooled. That's where my knowledge, that's as far as it goes. Okay. And apparently this thing went viral because he was an incredibly smart kid, but he came from this super, unorthodox way of education. Have you had some experience like that within your community, so to say, and in your center when you reach out to people? That you find, this is an incredible spirit who just took an absolute side road.
Oh, like an individual?
Yeah.
Or?
If you came across a person like that, or someone who's sniffing into that world, like we take the side road and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Because that's inspiring, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm not an educator, but
you're good with people and you reach people.
Yeah. I think, myself, like I was held back when I was a kid, which is really embarrassing. Like, that's so embarrassing. Like, I don't care now.
No,
I said it on
FM
radio. Like, I don't give any fucks now. But like, I had a lot of trouble learning to read. Yeah. Like, I couldn't read.
Well,
and like, no, but it's fine. But like, I couldn't read and I couldn't pay attention. I couldn't sit still. Like, I had all this going on in my head and I was mad hyper. And they held me back and it was so embarrassing. And luckily, I have amazing parents that moved my school, and I went to a school for kids that all were ADD.
Yeah.
So it was like a mess, which is funny in itself. But like, the teachers there like let us be ourselves, and like that's how I learned. Like I told you, like I was making videos and I was like doing, like my mom would like make cheers to memorize the like spelling lists with me, like always active. Yeah, I love being active.
You felt that was your poison, so to say, that reached you.
Yeah, just engaging my body and like, yeah.
Yep. Cool. But girl, it's been amazing having you here. I'm so happy about that. You have no idea.
I'm so happy too. I'm very happy. I'm equally, if not more happy than when we started.
Cool. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Inspired to be inspired. That's the conclusion of today's show, people. Inspired to be inspired. So to stay to a tradition, I want you as a guest to choose the song we're going to go out with, because we have a 5-minute mark now, and it's your song.
Okay. It's going to be New York State of Mind, I guess. The Jay-Z song with Alicia Keys.
Let's see.
Duh.
New
McDuggy
State.
Is that like the name?
Let's see here. You should know.
Empire. I'm sorry. Empire State of Mind.
State. Let's see
That's
here.
like, the play on the words.
I almost put on some Billy Joel.
Please, no.
That would have been
that's
super good. I'm a fan.
I know.
Empire State of Mind. We're going to see if we have the NYC up in here rocking to our last song we're going to go out with. Let's see here, Brooklyn Rap, right? I hope I put on the right one right now. So, thank you so much for coming to the show. Everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. This is Barcelona City FM, Shameless Exposure. See you next week. This is Alicia Keys and Empire State of Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out back Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to De Niro. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere.